Zombies at Midnight, Chapter 1. The Old House. Lucas adjusted his glasses, peering up at the towering silhouette of the old house against the midnight sky. The wind whispered through the trees, and the full moon bathed the abandoned structure in an eerie, pale light. The house stood on the outskirts of the town for as long as anyone could remember, and relic of the forgotten era, rumored to be haunted by restless spirits. "Come on, Lucas," his friend Kevin called. Already halfway up the creaking steps. "We didn't come all this way to chicken out now." Lucas hesitated, feeling a gnawing unease in the pit of his stomach. He was the nerd of the group, more comfortable with books and gadgets and ghost stories and haunted houses, but he had agreed to join his friends on this ghost hunting adventure, hoping to prove he wasn't as timid as he often joked. "Just a minute," Lucas muttered, taking a deep breath before following the group inside. The interior was worse than the outside, dusty, decrepit, and filled with a stench of decay. Their flashlights barely cut through the darkness, casting long, flickering shadows across the walls. The air was thick, oppressive, and Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Chapter 2. Lost. As the group ventured deeper into the house, Lucas found himself lagging behind, drawn to the curious artifacts scattered about. A broken pocket watch, an old dirty diary with brittle pages, each item told a story, and Lucas's curiosity got the better of him. "Lucas, hurry up, Megan," another friend called out from ahead, but Lucas barely heard her, his attention fixated on an ancient-looking mirror mounted on the wall. The glass was clouded, but something about it pulled him in. He stepped closer, his breath fogging the surface as he tried to peer into it. For a moment he thought he saw movement, just a flicker like a shadow passing behind the glass. He leaned in, squinting, and suddenly the mirror seemed to ripple like water disturbed by a stone. A cold hand grasped his shoulder there, and Lucas spun around, heard hammering in his chest, but there was no one there. His flashlight flickered, and in that instant he realized he was alone. His friends' voices had faded away, swallowed by the house's labyrinthine corridors. "Guys," Lucas called out, but only the echo of his voice answered. Chapter 3. Next. Panic began to set in as Lucas stumbled through the dark halls, desperately trying to find his way back. The house seemed to shift around him, corridors leading to dead ends, doors opening to empty rooms. He was hopelessly lost. Then, as if from nowhere, a soft, melodic voice echoed through the darkness. "Are you lost, little one?" Lucas froze. The voice was alluring, almost hypnotic, and it seemed to come from everywhere at once. He turned, shining his flashlight into the darkness, but there was nothing there. Who's there?" he demanded, trying to keep the tremor out of his voice. A soft laugh, like a tinkling of bells, filled the air. "I am next," the voice bird, "and you, Lucas, are exactly what I've been looking for." From the shadows a figure emerged, tall, slender, and impossibly beautiful. Her eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and her smile was both inviting and dangerous. Lucas's breath caught in his throat. He had read about succubi in his books, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Don't be afraid," Nix whispered, stepping closer. "I won't hurt you. In fact, I'm here to help." Lucas backed away, his mind racing. What do you want?" Nix tilted her head, regarding him with an almost predatory gaze. "You're different from the others, Lucas. Smarter, wiser. I can see it in your eyes. That's why I chose you." "Chosen?" The word sent a chill down Lucas's spine. "For what?" Nix's smile widened, revealing sharp white teeth. "To survive the night, of course. The others, they won't make it, but you might." Chapter 4. The Horde. But before Lucas could respond, a loud crash echoed through the house, followed by guttural moans that made his blood run cold. The walls seemed to tremble as something massive approached. "The zombies had arrived," Nix said calmly, her voice a stark contrast to his grown chaos. "They are drawn to this place, to the power within it, and they are hungry, very hungry." Lucas's mind raced. "Zombies? That wasn't part of the plan. They had come looking for ghosts, not this." "We had to find my friends," Lucas blurted out, his fear for them overriding his fear of Nix. His expression softened. though her eyes remained calculating. "If you insist," she said, with a slight shrug. "But you'll need my help if you want to survive." Lucas hesitated only a moment before nodding. He didn't trust Nix, but he had no other choice. Together they raced for the house, the sounds of the undead growing louder with every step. Chapter 5. The Battle. The zombies were relentless. They burst for the doors and windows, shambling towards Nix and Lucas with single-minded determination. Their decayed faces twisted in grotesque expressions of hunger as they reached out with bony, clawed hands. Nix fought with grace and power that took Lucas by surprise. Her hands crackled with dark energy, and with every gesture she sent zombies flying or reduced them to ash. But even she couldn't hold them off forever. "Lucas, the spell!" Nix shouted over the din of battle. "There's an ancient spell in this house, one that can banish the undead, but we need to find it." Lucas's mind whirred as he tried to recall everything he had read about ancient spells and rituals. The house had been built centuries ago by a powerful occultist. There had to be a book or a scroll somewhere that held the key. He and Nix fought their way to the old study, where dusty books lined the walls. As Nix held off the zombies at the door, Lucas frantically searched through the shelves. Finally, he found it, an old leather-bound tome with pages yellowed by time. "The spell requires a sacrifice." Lucas read it aloud, his voice trembling. "A life for a life." Nix turned to him, her expression unreadable. "Then it's settled," he said quietly. "I'll do it." Lucas's heart skipped a beat. "No, there has to be another way." Nix smiled, a sad, wistful smile. "I lived for centuries, Lucas. My time is long past. But you have a future. Let me do this." Lucas's mind raced. He couldn't let her sacrifice herself, not after everything they'd been through. And then an idea struck him. What if we could combine their energies? He suggested. "The spell says it needs a life force, but it doesn't say it has to be just one. Maybe we can share the burden." Nix's eyes widened, and for the first time Lucas saw a glimmer of hope in them. "It's a risk," she said softly. "We might just both die, or we might both live." Lucas's countered, determination in his voice. Nix hesitated, then nodded. "Very well, let's do it." Chapter 6. The Spell. Together they chanted the ancient words, their voices blending in perfect harmony. The room seemed to vibrate with power as the spell took hold. A brilliant light enveloped them, and Lucas felt a searing pain in his chest, as if his very soul was being torn apart. But he held on, focusing on Nix, on the bond they had formed. He wouldn't let her go. Not now, not ever. The zombies had let out a collective howl as the night grew brighter, until it was blinding, and then, with a final burst of energy, the light exploded outward, engulfing the house and the undead within it. When the light faded, the house was silent. The zombies were gone, their bodies reduced to dust. Lucas collapsed onto the floor, exhausted by life. Nix knelt beside him, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and something else, something deeper. "You did it," she whispered, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. "We did it," said Lucas, corrected, managing a weak smile. Nix laughed softly, a sound that was both musical and comforting. "Yes, we did." Chapter 7. As the first rays of dawn broke through the windows, Lucas and Nix stood side by side, looking out at the world beyond the house. The danger had passed, but the bond between them remained stronger than ever. "What now?" Lucas asked, glancing at Nix. Nix's eyes sparkled with a hint of mischief. "That depends on you, Lucas. There's a whole new world out there, full of mysteries, dangers, and adventures, but only if you're willing to take the risk." Lucas took a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace that he hadn't known before. He had faced his fears, fought the undead, and formed an unexpected bond with the creature of the night. And now he was ready to whatever came next. "Let's go find out," he said, taking Nix's hand. Together they stepped out into the light of a new day, leaving the old house and the horrors of the night behind. Epilogue. As they walked away, the house seemed to sigh, settling into its old silent self. but deep within its walls a single ancient mirror shimmered briefly, as if acknowledging the events of the night, and then it too was still. The adventure was over, but for Lucas and Nix it was only beginning, the end.